Welcome to Press Box on the Disability Channel platform. I'm your host, Jay Stoyan.
And I'm Josh Rimmer.
Welcome, fans. We're really excited today as this is our debut show. We're taking over for Sidelines. Josh is making his debut on our show. We're actually going to be bringing in Dave Evans from the USA. He's going to be part of our team. But we're really excited today because we have on the air, we have former NHL legend, referee Kerry Fraser. Kerry, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Jay, it's really an honor, and especially to be on your first co-host with my good buddy, Josh Rimmer.
That's great. Josh, I'll just hand over the reins to you because I know you guys have such a great relationship over the years, so I'll just sit back and listen for a bit.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jay. And Kerry, thanks for joining us on the show. For those that I think everybody knows Kerry. Kerry, over 1,900 NHL regular season games, 12 Stanley Cup finals. It's a real pleasure to have you on the show here, Kerry. How you doing today?
Josh, I'm doing good, and it's good to see that my hair still looks better than yours.
I lost that a long time ago. My ex-wife made it fall out.
I should have.
Kerry, first of all, I want to ask you, how are things going out there? Obviously, we are in a pandemic. How's your family doing during these crazy times?
Well, thanks for asking, Josh. We've really done well through it for the most part. We're down here in South New Jersey after I relocated the family in 1988 from Sarnia, Ontario, our hometown. So we were in sort of the epicenter of this stuff for a while with the New York, Manhattan, North Jersey filtered down to us in South New Jersey. We have 7 children and 12 grandchildren, and a lot of the kids live in the area. So they were very protective of, Grandma and Grandpa. They didn't want to give us anything that might take us early. So we were great, in terms of watching and looking after ourselves. We've been vaccinated now with the Moderna vaccine. Over a month ago, we had the second one. We're doing great. We've been traveling through COVID and went to Aruba 3 times during COVID. One of the safest places on the planet, we felt. Life. And the recommendation to listeners and viewers is try and live as normal as you can. Protect yourself, wash your hands, all that kind of stuff, and wear a mask when you need to. But get out and get some fresh air, get some sunshine. That really helps too with the virus. That doesn't like sun and vitamin E. So I'm saying we're good.
Kerry, it's been a season like no other in the NHL. Obviously, with everything going on with the pandemic, condensed schedule, a lot of teams not knowing sometimes whether or not they're going to be playing a game because there's been a lot of postponements. We'll get into more of that in a minute, but I want to first touch on the hot topic of the week, especially the last couple of days. NHL referee Tim Peel talking into a hot mic during the Predators-Red Wings game after wanting to call a penalty on Nashville early in the game. The NHL reacting quickly, saying Tim will no longer work NHL games going forward. Your thoughts on what happened exactly?
Well, it really sickened me, to see what transpired right from the game tape all the way through, the decision that really, I guess, had to be made to manage this situation. We as officials are maintain the integrity of the game. We provide the safety for the players, which I always felt was my first and foremost responsibility as a referee in the game. Obviously enforce the rules, but there are certain ways, and you'd know as well as I do, Josh, that it's not just about calling penalties. It's about managing a game so that you don't kill the entertainment value of it. You don't just flood the penalty box, with every call. You have to use good judgment and manage not just the game with selection of penalties, but you also have to manage the emotions of the game. And that takes relationship building with the players and the coaches. Young guys coming in, it takes them a while to be accepted. You have to earn respect. You can't demand it. Just because you have the authority, that doesn't mean that you can automatically have everybody respect you. And that comes over time. But in the management of the game, and I totally understand the optics of that soundbite in the game broadcast with the hot mic were horrible. It was absolutely terrible. I know Tim Peel well. I saw him as a trainee before he even signed a contract with the NHL at the first training camp he ever attended. I think he misspoke. I don't believe that he actually intended it to come out as it did. And knowing the personality of Peelsy, he's a New Brunswick guy. He's a fun guy. He is pretty gregarious, sometimes bloviating. And I just think that in the emotion of the game, you don't ever target a team. You may, and I'll tell you, there's been times, many times, in a game where I felt the game needed a penalty for whatever reason. Maybe it was to bring the energy down, the aggression, to exert control for whatever reason. And it might need where you would have, let's say, the Broad Street Bullies taking all kinds of penalties, and they're the obvious aggressor, and the other team is just playing. They're probably fearful going into the Broad Street, the Spectrum anyway. If the non-aggressive team committed an infraction, I did not want to miss it, because the other team is filling the box. They're taking all kinds of penalties. And if there's an infraction the other way that happened that I miss, now that aggressive team is going to feel like they're getting the raw end of the deal, and they're going to go crazy. They're going to start breaking sticks over somebody. So that's where you look for a penalty to happen. You don't invent a penalty. And in Tim Peel's situation, if the replay showed what I believe happened, which was the penalty with the crash to the net, that's a penalty. Mm-hmm. His biggest mistake was to make an offhanded comment, which I really don't think any referee would common sense make, but he did. And I understand why the league and Colin Campbell had to take swift and punitive action that is very severe. Tim was going to retire at the end of last season. They asked him to come back because they felt that he needed to do some mentoring of younger officials. They don't feel they have enough guys, with experience yet. So all of a sudden now, he does this, and he falls on his own sword, and he's going to leave the game a month earlier than he anticipated. He's not going to have his final game in his hometown of St. Louis, and it's a sad day. It's a black mark.
Can I jump in quick, Josh?
Yeah, absolutely, Jay.
I just wanted to follow up. I think those are great points, Kerry. And I heard some other broadcasters talking this morning, and they were saying because of what happened and going all the way back to Andy Van Halen in the 70s when Saturday night, and everybody heard somebody say that to Andy, right? We all know what that was back in the day. They're saying now the players and the coaches and the refs are going to be afraid of having them being mic'd up because they said, that could have been taken out of context. And he probably shouldn't have said it, obviously, but the heat of the game, emotions, you're saying something, and then cancel culture, and maybe instead of sitting down with whoever is the boss now, the refs, sitting down and explaining your situation and maybe giving them a week suspension, or I don't know if it was a little harsh, but I think it was a little quick to judge. Like, wow, it came out all of a sudden with a report this morning he's done. I don't know. I think they jumped to conclusions a little quick, perhaps.
Well, you bring up a couple of really good points. First of all, on the hot mics or the live mics that have been installed, and Josh's dad, Jeff, broadcaster, long time. The sound bites around the rink, and especially during the bubble and COVID that we had to deal with, they wanted to create some sensation where the fans felt like they were there, and play the sound bites over the speaker so the players feel like there's crowd noise. They had to be creative, and I understand that. But as far as microphones go, I'll tell you, there has to be some place on the ice that players and officials can speak freely. I was the first referee ever to wear a microphone during a game, and it was Madison Square Garden. It was the Rangers and the Minnesota North Stars. Phil Esposito was not the general manager. He was doing the color commentary on Madison Square Garden Network, and they left my mic open. It was an open mic throughout the game. Wow. And you can imagine some of the things that were said. It was the first time that fans and the media had ever been taken to live action on the ice in an NHL game. And it lit up, the switchboards in all kinds of cities. David Letterman had a clip from it on, his show. So the next time that they did it, again, it was with me, and they brought the mic in and out as they needed for sort of replay benefit. I think that the hot mics and the live mics around the rink now, it certainly will create some angst for the officials. That they're going to have their hands over their mouth. They're going to be very careful. They're going to whisper in each other's ear. I just think that the league has to manage it better. Why would they have an open mic anyway during a stoppage of play? Somebody, and in broadcasting, there's somebody behind the scenes in that building on a switchboard, and they're bringing the mics in and up, just like when the referees click on their mic to announce a penalty. It has to become live and hot. And they can solve this. They can solve it, and I know they will. But to your point, when a player is given an in-person hearing, like Tom Wilson was just suspended for 7 games, he had an in-person hearing. It's going to be 5+, at least 5 for an in-person. I wonder if Tim Peel had an in-person hearing. I wonder if it was maybe a phone call, or was it come to the office? Let's have a discussion about this. What were you thinking? Why did you say something like that? And at least find out what his intent was, or was it just a brain fart that,
Exactly.
It happens. I've had conversations with players where building relationships was really important for me, and I believe the success of my longevity. And I have great relationships today with legends in the game that I came in with. But in the emotion and the emotional element of the game, in a nose-to-nose confrontation, I've had my belly start to boil and things rise and blip, out it came. And it was a comment that I went, oh my God, why did I say that? And I pulled back immediately on it. And I've said to a player, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. It was offensive. This is what I meant to say. Let me restart that. So sometimes we get an opportunity to do over. But in this particular case, there was no do-over, and there was no explanation as to, in the edict, it was whatever the official's intent was. It's just not appropriate.
Thanks for sharing that, Kerry. Josh, I think I'll throw it back to you, make you take a quick break, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, so we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back in 3 seconds. We're talking with former NHL referee and legend, Kerry Fraser, with his fancy hairdo. We'll be right back in less than 2 seconds.